backs any good?
They have two guys that are primary. Dante Wilson is the guy who really was one of the leading rushers last year in the league. I think he's still listed at a certain point, but when they switched quarterbacks, their carries went way down. And number one, Ken Coleman is a big special teams guy. I mean, he's another one of those 5'6", 150-pound guys. But he's a punt returner, he's a kickoff returner, screen receiver. I mean, he becomes a good receiver for him.
Really fast too. Very fast.
Yes, got good speed.
Is enthusiasm a concern?
I think it was a concern. It wasn't. It certainly wasn't evident yesterday. I think we had a very enthusiastic practice yesterday, but that's the part of the commitment we're calling on for each guy. And but it doesn't mean that you're going to execute, which is, last week we had, I thought, great. In fact, pregame, I thought we were probably as excited to play as any game we've played. But it certainly didn't show in our performance.
Obviously, having to lose a season is tough, no matter where you're at. But is it even more tough because you're here at IUP and the winning tradition this school has?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you take it personally?
Yeah. No, I do. It's hard, and as I told as I told my linebackers yesterday, they did not play one of their better games. But I'm not here to rip on James Carson and Kazi. I said this is us. When you fail, I failed, and I think that's the way every coach feels.
I would imagine when we talked back in August, you thought,
this was unthinkable.
Yeah. I thought, 2 losses might be about the worst. And I remember we talked about Cal and Edinburgh as being the 2 big ones.
Right.
And to sit here at 4-6.
It's very difficult. Coming into the season, I don't think that any of us thought that this was possible, any more than we thought it would have been possible in the previous 3 years. We felt very similar to that. And I think there were some areas that we were concerned with because of depth. Obviously, the offensive line was one. And you look at Mike Campolo's record since he's been here. I mean, we've been one of the we've had fewer sacks over 3 years probably than anybody in this league. We've had some great rushers. We still have the same running backs, but we're just not doing the same things that we had done up front. And I think that started in fall camp. I mean, it was, you can't have 11 live snaps and prepare guys the way you want to. And yet, we felt through the first 3 games that we were getting there. If we could just keep that lineup solid, and it just never stayed solid. Losing Cree is, the way in which it happened. I don't know that was
If he had broken his arm against post, it might have.
It'd been better for all of us. I mean, it would have been better for him. It would have been better for us. But it's just, it's just the way it happened. We're going to start. About the only real personnel change, and this is not I don't want it to feel like we're pointing a finger at him at all, but we're going to start Mike Wells at free safety and start Corey Lanterman again at corner. And but the free safety position is very similar. We lost Andre, we lost his backup Rory Marshall. Mike Wells came in, and then Daryl Jones, and now we're back to Mike Wells. But that was, those were significant losses. We looked at last year's game. Roy Marshall started against Kutztown last year. Roy Marshall played, or not Kutztown, Gannon last year. And so we haven't had perhaps the hand that we had hoped. Losing Josh Boyard on his first start. So those things happen, but that's part of football. That's just, so we've got to develop more depth. We've got to bring in more guys and just pray that we can stay healthier than we've been this year.
Is it as concrete or as tangible as injuries and inexperience? Is there anything that you didn't see coming, that you don't understand why it happened, that made this team turn out the way it did?
I think those are the major issues. Anytime the two units that need cohesiveness, they need time together, are the offensive line and the secondary more than any others. We knew we were going to have a young defensive front, but there's some good things happening. There's just there are going to be some errors with when Boyard was playing and Khatib and Carl. But we felt really good about our secondary. We felt very good about the offensive line coming into it. But those two units just haven't had a chance to really do what we had hoped they would do.
You plan on having a scrimmage next season to get the team on live action?
Well, yeah, it just depends on. I mean, we'll plan two of them. Now, you're talking about an opponent?
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't because we have 11 games. We can't legally.
Yeah.
Wish we could. But you attempt to have about 120 scrimmage snaps in fall camp, and we weren't close to that. And that doesn't mean you can't overcome it. Who's the great old coach at St. John's? Gagliari. He never scrimmages. They practice in shorts and T-shirts most of the week, and he goes out and wins. So there are other ways to do it, but I'm not comfortable with doing it that way.
How's DePasquale? Is he out?
Yes. He's out for 4 weeks.
So in this basketball season. So Lewis will start.
Mobley will be at center. Monteleone at right guard, Musselman at right tackle. Joe Tonga and Tucker. Zach Alozio will essentially be the backup everywhere except center. And that's where it gets touchy. If something were to happen at center, Carnicella's the only trained. He's the third center. And we're doing all we can not to have to play him. He hasn't played yet, no. There were actually 2 weeks where we thought he might have to. But then either at the end of the week somebody became available, what have you. But he'll be a fine young player at center guard. But we're praying we don't have to use him Saturday.
How's Pat doing?
I think after the game, he said something like, "It's my fault that we lost." And I said, "Hey, I want to tell you, there are 22 guys we could say that about, and probably 10 coaches. We're in this together, and when you don't perform well, then we didn't do something very well." But
Is his knee okay?
yes, his knee's fine. Now we will take Mike Rummel with us as the third guy.